Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Polity's podcast. I am here just to take a short minute of your time to announce our conference for 2026. I'm here with Andrew Jones.
Hello.
Andrew, good to see you, Andrew. The conference is titled Man, Woman, Tyrant, Slave. It's May 21st to 23rd here in our own Steubenville, Ohio. And you can actually register right now.
Awesome.
newpolity.com/events. I love our conferences.
Me too.
They are opportunities to realize you're not the only one thinking the thoughts you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's very affirming in that regard.
It's a nice deadline to get some work done. That's the way I think of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to have a talk.
It's true. It's true. It inspires thought. We're a think tank, and this is like, stirs the tank up a little bit.
Indeed.
So, man, woman, tyrant, slave, the idea that's been on our minds and which we want to spend some time really, really thinking about is the connection between sexual difference and then the idea of difference considered as political order and cosmic order. I could put that a little more simply and just say it seems like the way we view man and woman, the way we view marriage, plays out into the way we view society as a whole.
Right.
And I suppose this shouldn't surprise us, given some of the things that we often say about marriage and family.
Yes. You say things like, it's the fundamental cell of society.
Exactly. Yeah, the foundation of society.
As the family goes, so society goes.
Yeah.
There's lots of these sorts of
No,
things.
it's true. Exactly. So there's but there seems to be a disconnect sometimes where often the discourse about man and woman, about sexual difference, seems to not understand its own transcendent import, as it were. So there's a couple of ways that I see this. So one is there's a kind of idea, largely feminist, of the sexual as the political, but what it often means is the political ordering of sexual relationships. So there's like a political ideological ideal that's true of a liberal society, namely equality, equal rights, and then the destruction of any nodes of authority that aren't sort of licensed from the state would be the quickest way I would put it.
Right.
And so then the problem of marriage is that it seems like in the relationship of man and woman, and then obviously in the relationship of parents to children, that there is an illiberal society or an illiberal thing going on within society.
It's hard to imagine something less liberal.
Yeah, there's a lot of commands, there's punishments, there's
Clear inequality.
Yeah, there's
Different rights.
Yeah.
Property.
It's true. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Which is why with liberalism, it's sort of it's the secret of liberalism. It's the thing that we don't really want to make center stage. So we say that the family is sort of this wilderness that we allow to grow individuals. And when those individuals turn 18, we pluck them out of the family and we put them into this thing called the real world. And then in the real world, they are citizens, they have rights, they're equal to everyone else. The son can sue his father, the father can sue his son, and all is normal. And then we try to forget childhood,
Yeah, it does seem like the liberals find themselves in a predicament where they basically have two options available to them. One is to treat the family as sort of a weird exception that is temporary, it's resolved. Right, and that's sort of the conservative line. That's the conservative liberal line. Yeah. So like you were just saying. Or it's not an exception and tyrannical.
Yeah.
And we need to extend the liberal political arrangements into the family, which is liberation of the women, liberation of the children, the movement, the reduction of the familyness of the family as much as possible.
Right. And you can see that these things, because the family is so practically important for the state in the terms of it's where people come from, still largely, you can see the kind of schizophrenia that happens, a back and forth, where on the one hand you'll have a period of liberation in a society. So I'm thinking of like communism, early communism. It's all, we're going to totally destroy the family. We're going to have free love. We're going to share the children, yada, yada. And then that doesn't work, and we really need soldiers and workers who take commands. So then it becomes a period, the same society, of a very pronatalist. You reproduce for the motherland. There is this affirmation of order, right? But you can kind of see how it's two sides of the same coin, where the family is seen as a problem that's utilized, but not as the foundation of society. It's not seen as normative in any way for then what happens at higher and higher levels. Now, I'd say the other problem I see, there's many problems. The man-woman thing just brings up demented responses. It brings up people's great anxieties. I understand that. That's why we want to focus on it. But you see the other side is this reaction to often a tyrannical move of liberal societies to level out the family and make it an image of itself. You also see a kind of reaction where people want to make the family sufficient unto itself, like the man-woman relationship and the family they're in can almost make for itself every other larger organization, every other larger ordering of society, right? So it becomes what Christopher Lasch described as a haven in a heartless world, where it is seen not as the foundation of something greater, not something as open to its own transcendence, but something that should take in all of the institutions, all of the larger things into itself. So this is, and I'm not. These are our people, so I'm not trying to insult anyone, but it can happen where when we're going to have our families, we're going to resist the wickedness of the culture. We're going to homestead. We're going to, restore destroyed forms of cottage industry, yada, yada, that we often end up imagining that the family has no transcendence, that we really can just be a little city unto ourselves.
Right.
And that creates, I think, real problems. And it also creates a lack of freedom in the family.
And there is a certain repudiation of the political going on there.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? That the family, that the political, that which is larger than the family exists only justly when it is subservient to the family or serves the family.
Yeah.
Which isn't quite right. I mean, it's a close distortion of subsidiarity, but it's not quite right.
So we want to analyze what is the relationship of when man and woman are like a you might say like a microcosmic form of order that has a transcendent purpose. It's not merely functionally the foundation, in the sense that, well, you need that in order to move beyond it and get to other things, but actually has you might say a normative or a symbolic, an instruction. It is an instruction to all the other ways that we order society and justice. Then it seems like getting man and woman right.
It's unbelievably important.
Yeah. And I would say it has been the focus, really the focus of the papacy of the last 100 years, for this reason precisely. I mean, this comes up constantly in Catholic social teaching.
Right.
It can be easy, I think, to think of Catholic social teaching as a lot of claims, recommendations for how to live in terms of sort of maybe forgotten areas, like, well, there's political things to say, there's economic things to say, and the church is going to say it. But within that tradition, you just see this constant concern for the family.
And that has been the danger in it is that you forget that the family is receiving that special attention because it's the primal blocks, the primordial place of politics. I mean, where out of which politics grows. Yeah. And so there's a temptation of like the Catholic lay vocation being reduced to being a good dad, being a good husband, family life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, no, the being a good dad and being a good husband, family life is correct. Yeah. But but what that reveals is the lay vocation as world builders, as the orderers of the world, that extends to the highest levels of the political. You see, so it's like that kind of it's often mocked, that kind of like dad conception, right? Sure. Like I just go out in the world and I do my work and then I come home and I serve my family but the serving of my family, the serving of my wife, the raising of my children, that's where I'm a good person. And what I do out outside. I have no particular vocation there. Right. That's just the world in which I must act in order to be a good dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not, like I said, it's not totally wrong. It's actually a close distortion. Right. Because what actually is occurring is, what should actually be seen is that the vocation of being a good father, of serving your family, is the same vocation as serving the larger order, right? And the creation of the larger order. Mm-hmm. And not only because so your family can live in it, right? That's not the whole thing. It's more significant than that.
Totally. And I think as Christians, we know this because we know, it can be very troubling, I think, although it's interestingly, didn't seem to be as troubling in different ages of Christianity. But for our age, I think it's very troubling that all of this is oriented towards a time when we will not be given in marriage, where to a heavenly reality in which the participation in the whole with everyone seems to be the fruit. And yet how the one relates to the other, I think, it's not necessarily clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess I just maybe am ignorant on this topic. I wonder if any of the theologians have spoken on it. I mean, it seems to me that the idea that we are in our natures two. Yeah. Okay. So like it is a completion of us to be bound together in marriage, right? And the formation of the spouse's formation of each other, and in action, we're acting upon each other, we're acting on the children, we're raising the children, that's forming all of us, forms who you are, which is eternal. I mean, like when we are not given in marriage, but when you enjoy the beatific vision, it is you who is in a large part the product of your wife.
Yeah, right.
I mean, so it's not a different you. It's not some like stripped down, idealized you.
Yes,
it's the you that has been formed.
That's awesome. I hope part of this conference will be we always want to move from the philosophical to the theological, and I do hope that a good analysis of not being given in marriage will be a part of this conference. I think some of the ways that you're speaking, though, I think indicate a reason for this conference as a whole, which is frustration. I mean, usually is with the sort of state of the discussion of man and woman.
Yeah.
So we all know we're in a place where the church has found a sort of alliance with a more general conservative, right-wing power or discourse, right? So there's, Jordan Peterson is podcasting with, Bishop Barron, and like these sorts of things are possible. Mm-hmm. And it seems like recently there's become this point of tension where a lot of the discourse about sexual difference on the right, which was, I think, quite justly formed in response to evils, in response to transgenderism, which is that still?
I don't think that's really.
It's so odd. It just like evaporated. It seems to me.
So maybe you feel real pity for the people who bought in hard.
Well, yeah, I think that's true. I think that's going to be a political consequence going forward. Is the people that were just hurt,
but then it's like seriously hurt,
but then did not become part of it did not actually become part of the new society. It's just like it left bodies behind.
That was it. Right.
And I think that is the moment that we're in. One of the reasons for this conference is to say, what now? Because I think there was the ability to just say, okay, we need to just assert the goodness of sexual difference of man and woman over and against a obviously distorted view. And because of that, it's easy to just partner up with anyone who's just saying,
that's crazy.
Yeah, right. And we did.
Yeah.
But now it seems like there's some real differences in the way people are speaking. So, for instance, on the right, there's this real sense that the right thing to do is to have a sort of top-down hierarchical relation between man and woman. That the goal or the ideal is to have a authoritative husband, a submissive wife. This produces peace, and then all of the things that, and it's expressed against a sort of equalitarian liberalism that would say,
right.
No, there should be, daycares for everyone and no ordered hierarchy between.
But again, it's
spouses.
just resolving the liberal problem within the same framework.
What do you mean?
Right. Well, like the liberal problem of the family, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, right. There is no equality. The man dominates.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like okay, so you're not actually solving the liberal problem. You're just
Picking a side.
You're just picking a side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess that's an option. It's an option many societies have pursued, perhaps most.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, it has gotten to the point in segments of the right where if a man refers to friendship with his wife,
Right.
he's mocked.
Yeah.
As being like a weak boomer dad who's friends with his wife.
Although
it's like, well, no, guys. I mean, there's a practice. It's just an old example of the throwing the baby out with the bathwater situation. It's like, well, yeah, the feminist thing and the kind of domination of our society by the HR ladies and all of that was bad. Okay, and there was disorder there.
Yeah.
But the hard reaction the other direction is just as juvenile.
Well, it seems fantastic in the sense that it seems like the sort of thing that very few people would equate with actual happiness in their lives and in their marriages and in their families and in the relations of man, woman, father to son, these sorts of things. But it works online. Like
right.
it works when you can kind of abstractly have an influencer saying, "Oh, this is the ideal wife. Here's the picture of her.
Yeah.
Here's the things she'd do. This is the ideal husband. Here's the
and
picture."
it's just full of resentment and that kind of thing. Where of young men especially and feel bitterness and resentment, which is all very understandable.
Totally,
but not something that the philosopher should fall prey to.
Yeah, and also it's all, but it's also like you say, a close distortion, right? Like
right.
there's this need to articulate once again. I mean, in every generation, there's the need to come to understanding again, but there's a need to understand how are we balancing, or not even balancing. I hate when I do that. It's an instinct to say the truth must be just like a balancing of various things. Men are called to be heads. There is a tradition of Christian headship that is somehow, in some way, given to the male. There is a analogy of the relationship of man and woman that's related to Christ and his church. There is the idea and the tradition of the rule and the ruled being expressed in the relationship of man and woman. Mm-hmm. But
King is the father.
That sort of thing.
That sort of thing, right?
But then there's also
very old.
But there's also like the kind of comedy of that everyone knows that if you take that in a literal, almost materialistic way, where that hierarchical ordering is just simply top, bottom, higher, lower, then you don't produce happiness or fruitfulness as a result.
Well, that's right. I mean, the problem is a metaphysical one. I think.
It always is.
Yeah. I mean, when we're talking about it philosophically anyway, where order, the good of order, is a good that it's the highest good. I mean, that's what Thomas says. The highest good in the universe is the good of the order of the whole, right? And that's where where the divine simplicity is imaged into the universe is in the oneness of its order. And that's the reason for the diversity and the inequality. That's what Thomas argues. The reason for diversity of things and inequality between them is so that the goodness of order can be manifest and therefore God imaged. Right. So, but you see with the goodness of order is a product of diversity and inequality within those things that are ordered, which is the happiness is all the participation in that order is what we call justice. It's also where happiness is had. Yeah. So things are different within it. So it's not, the options are not, does the man dominate in a sort of master-slave relationship where where the ones he dominates over are merely an extension of himself, like what Aristotle would say, which does away with diversity.
Yep.
And right, so you're finding unity through the destruction of diversity, and that's one option. The other option is the kind of reduction to egalitarianism, which also does away with diversity and therefore the unity of order, right? So it's precisely the maintenance of diversity and rule and ruled, higher and lower, that makes it possible for the goodness, which is the unity of order, to come out, which is where all the different entities that make up that unity find their happiness. Right. It is not an Aristotelian thing, master-slave thing, nor is it a liberal egalitarian thing. It's something else.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be another topic in the conference. Obviously, we inherit from Aristotle the tradition of the male as having the fullness of human nature, and then the female as a privation of that nature. So, you have a certain failure to attain the fullness of the form, and that produces the female. Right. And this is, I think, wrong.
Very.
But it is solving a real problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. So sometimes it can happen where the man-woman discussion comes up, this Aristotelian notion comes up, and then people say, well, no, it's just not that. It's actually complementarity. So you have man and woman, and they correspond to each other, and the metaphysical problem is basically glossed over. Whereas Aristotle, at least, is trying to ask the question of, if human nature is this universal form, how is it that it produces twofoldness and not one? I have a universal human nature, I have its instantiation, and yet I have...
It's a problem.
Man and woman on this side. Well, he solves the problem.
Right, by denying that women are humans.
Right. And that does solve the problem.
Yeah, it does.
But my just a point to the discussion that we'd like to have would be to say it's not the same thing to not like that solution as to solve his problem.
That's correct. Solving the problem.
Not liking the solution can make you say, no, women are not deficient males. They have the fullness of human nature. It's like, I think you're probably right. But then what is human nature that it produces twofoldness in its instantiation in the concrete individual? I think it's a marvelous mystery.
Oh, yeah. It goes, and this, we can't possibly get into this in this podcast, but it goes to what we mean by man being social in his nature. Like, we don't mean in man's nature he likes being in society, or he needs to be in society, or it's useful to him to be in society, which is all sort of the way Aristotle follows it. Sure. No, we mean that the nature itself has diversity within it. The nature itself is social. Yeah. Right. You see,
and this is distinct from the animals.
Very much so. They're not.
Yeah.
I mean, and the most obvious example is they lack language.
Right. But even just in the Aristotelian definition is that man is a social animal, which is the distinguishing thing about him. Right. I mean, so man's socialness is natural, truly natural in his nature, meaning there's more than one somehow. The conclusion has to be, and this will have to be explored much more heavily, but I mean, the thrust of it is that man's nature is not like it's neither just like the animals, nor is it just like the angels, but there's something it's unique to itself. Yeah. Well, I hope you all will come to this conference and think about these things with us. It will be, I hope, an opportunity to really investigate everything that New Polity has been interested in, to investigate how economic and political structures affect us as structures of sin. In this regard, we want to speak about John Paul II's theology of the body and the papal tradition here. Like, are we really just offering advice, or are there metaphysical and ecclesiological claims within the papacy's theology that we need to bring into our lives? The conference, we have many speakers that are considering, and so we will be telling you who's coming. But for right now, I do want to mention that our keynote is coming from Margaret McCarthy. Margaret McCarthy is at the JB2 Institute. She's a brilliant scholar in her own right and does a whole host of analyses and arguments in this regard, tackling the idea of Christian headship, tackling the idea of feminism and its failure, tackling the idea of the way Trinitarian theology both does and ought to affect our understanding of the family, our understanding of sexual difference itself. She is a phenomenal thinker, and what she's going to do, I think, especially for us, is make us very aware that Christianity is not, that it actually makes both our understanding and then our living out of sexual difference different. It's not like there's this natural thing that's just going on, and then with that natural thing, we then do Christian things. It's that marriage from the beginning is a revelation of who God is and who man is, and that our understanding of the newness that Christianity brings, the revelation of Jesus Christ, is a revelation of man to himself in his social difference, in his sexual difference. She's marvelous at this, and so we're really excited to have her lead the way there.
Sounds awesome.
So, Man, Woman, Tyrant, Slave, an investigation of sexual difference as it transcends itself into political order and cosmic order, May 21st to 23rd, Steubenville. You can register right now, newpolity.com/events, and we'll be really glad to see you there.
Great.
Goodbye.